Hey guys, so we're gonna make a card. I know it's last minute, but I told you I would make Christmas cards all the way up to the last minute. And honestly, I still have not sent my cards. They're going out tomorrow, so I need to make the last of them tonight. We're going to use this stamp set from My Favorite Things called Santa's Elves. Okay, now I made 4 cards already, and I'm gonna make a 5th with you guys. So we have this one. I wanted to show you all the different ways that you could use the stamp set if you didn't want all your cards to look the same. So this one's just on a flat background. Stamped the tree out 3 times. Colored it in with Copics. And then I cut out the ornaments. Colored them each individually. Some of them are flat to the cards. Some of them are popped up with foam tape. And the little elf is popped up with foam tape. Just a simple card. Inside it has a different sentiment from another stamp set. And we have this one. It's on blue. It's another flat card front, and they're all these images, by the way, I used this VersaFine Claire ink, the Nocturne that I won on Mary Polanco's page. Thank you, Mary. I love it. And then I heat embossed them with clear embossing powder. Every image. This guy and all the background stuff, aside from the little like stars, those are embossed with gold embossing powder, but everything else was stamped out with the Nocturne ink. And on this card, I colored everything in with gel pen. And to get that little guy's face, because I thought I had a skin colored, but it turned out to be bright peach. So I took a little bit of brown, colored over it, and then smeared it together with my finger, and that seemed to work really well. And then his sentiment is on just a strip of Bristol smooth cardstock, and it's heat embossed with steel navy. And that's it for him. The sentiment and the elf are both popped up on foam tape. This one's a totally flat card. And I stamped out the elves in different positions. I put him on a piece of green glitter cardstock, just so you could see it a little bit around the edge. And then I used my Zig and Arteza real brush markers with a water pen or a water brush, and I just colored them in real quick. And it's nice and simple. And then this guy, I heat embossed all the ornaments on the background, put him on a red card base, popped up I used one of my wonky stitched rectangles and popped that up on foam tape. And then I glued directly to the glitter rectangle the tree, which I fussy cut out, and the elf. I put Merry Christmas, that's a lawn fawn sentiment die, on a strip of white, and put that all the way across from end to end to the card. I did not want it to stop at the card front. And I also put some Studio Katia jewels on that Christmas tree. So the card that we're going to work on now is going to be another flat one-dimensional card. And I'm going to use some Neenah 80 pound. And I'm going to cut this guy down to 4 by 5 1/4. Some people prefer to heat emboss their images and then cut it down. I do that sometimes, but for the most part, I cut it down first so I know exactly where my images are meeting on the edge. I'm the type of person where if I heat emboss images all across the card front, I hate to cut them apart. So I'm going to put some powder on this. And then I'm going to use the tree. And we're going to do the same thing with this one that I did on the other ones. We're going to use the Nocturne, VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink. And then heat emboss them with clear embossing powder. So I'm going to get that ready real quick. Now, I'm pretty sure, I'm not totally sure. Sometimes I can't make up my mind until the card progresses. But I'm pretty sure that we're going to be putting a centerpiece tree onto this card along with an already we're not going to print the sentiment right on the card like I did with the other one, with the elves. And I'm going to pop that up with foam tape along with a tree, I think. Now that one at the top came out a little thick, but that's okay. It'll still work. If it bothers you that much, you could always flip your paper over and use the other side. And I'm just wiping up the black ink that gets on my glass mat so it doesn't get on the back of my card front. Because sometimes the really dark inks, depending on the paper you're using, can show up through the front. And I don't want that to happen. So already this card is not looking like I thought it would. So I may have to transition and go with the flow and maybe change up my card a little bit. We'll see in a minute. All right. I think that's enough. You know, looking at this card, I wish I had a sentiment that said, "Oh, Christmas tree," or something like that. And I'm almost positive I don't. So we're gonna close that up. And I'm gonna turn my heat gun on while I clean off this stamp, just to warm it up a little. Actually, I don't know why I cleaned this off, because I have to print another one out. So I'll make sure that's dry. Stamp another one out real quick. What's up? Okay. Let's clean this up, otherwise I'll end up spilling it. So I'm going to color these in with the Copics. Can't believe it's this close to Christmas already. And I think I'm going to go with a couple different greens. Do some of them in the greens and some of them in the yellow greens. So for the center tree, we're going to use G29, G17, and G5. And like I've told you guys many times, I'm by no means an expert in shadowing when it comes to alcohol markers or anything else for that matter. I just do what looks good to me. Oops, wrong end. So I don't know if you guys are all ready for Christmas, but I thought I was totally finished. And went shopping for my fiance yesterday, and then my mother sends my father over with a check today and says, here, this is the shop for the kids from your grandfather. So now I have to cash a check, or deposit the check, wait for it to clear, and then go shopping for 8 more gifts. Well, 5 or 6, because the older kids are just going to want the money. So I'm not done shopping. It's actually quite disappointing. I thought I was done by now, you know. Christmas shopping always stresses me out. I love Christmas, but until everything is bought and sitting in my house waiting to be wrapped, I cannot be stress-free. And I hope my head's not in the way. I'm trying not to lean forward. All right, that's our center tree. I'm gonna do the star, and I'll probably do this all the other stars too while I have it out. I'm using YR23 and Y8 for that. And then for the trunk, I'll use E59 and E57. All right, let's do all the other stars. Now on that other one, it doesn't really matter much because I'll be cutting it out. But on this one, I really want to try to stay inside that embossed line so I don't have to do any cleanup after I'm done coloring, because I really want the background to stay white. We might add a smaller image in there, embossed, to add some color and interest. But other than that, I want it to stay white. The focus really should be on the trees and the center tree. Or at least that's my intention for this card. I'm trying to do this fairly fast, you know, since we're not editing videos at this point. So everything went good in Florida. That baby is so darn cute. Loved holding her in my arms. Went to the beach, had a beautiful day. The first day there was kind of chilly, and the second day was in the low 70s. And the third and fourth day were like 75 and 80. It was super nice out. But that Friday, when we left, before we left in the afternoon, it rained all day. We were actually trying to get ahead of the storm. It was like high winds, tornado warning, all kinds of stuff. All right, so we got the trunks and the stars done. Now I'm going to go in on the card base itself and start with some of these other trees. So I'm using the YG9 as my darkest color on this one. And I found what works best for me with the yellow greens that I have is YG9, YG25, and YG3 in that order. But then again, I color dark to light. A lot of people color light to dark. It's really just your preference. Christmas Eve, we'll be going over to my brother's house. I started the tradition a long time ago with my kids of sitting down on Christmas Eve and reading Christmas stories and drinking hot cocoa. And when my brother and I, 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, moved out of the city, we started doing it at his house on Christmas Eve because we don't get together on Christmas anymore. We used to get up every morning. I mean, I did this with my kids for a good 20 years. We used to have Christmas with the family, a big breakfast brunch, everybody together, go to my aunt's house. I would have to wake up my kids at like 5 o'clock in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, so they could, now I'm going in with the greens, same greens I used on the focal point tree. And I would have them open their presents, and then we would all be ready to go by 9 o'clock to be at my aunt's by 9:30, 10 o'clock. You know, and then it would just be a rush all day. Rush home, check on dinner, which my ham was always in the crock pot. And then drop off kids, certain kids that had to go to their father's or mother's house. And then go visit other families, you know, like my fiance's family. And it just became, I see now I used the wrong color there, so I'm just going to go over it a little bit. And then go over it again with that G17, I think it is. And blend it out. Anyway, I stopped doing that a few years ago. I said, that's it, I've had enough. At Christmas became about money, who got what gift, how much was spent. So I stopped going, and I started letting my kids sleep in and wake me up whenever they were gonna wake me up on Christmas. And I like doing that a whole lot better. I just wish that with my older kids, I would have been able to do it longer, because I know my oldest was already out of the house before I started doing that. So I feel like she kind of missed out on a normal Christmas. But now, I think even the first year I had dinner over here, and I told everybody who came to dinner they could not come to dinner unless they wore pajamas. So we spent the whole day in our pajamas. We even ate dinner in our pajamas. Okay, I think I'm going to do every other. So then this tree will also be the same ones, the G29. And even if you're using the same colors on your tree, you can make each one look a little bit different by putting the shading in different areas, using more or less of a certain color. You could even use blue greens instead of greens or yellow greens. I've done that too on a couple of the cards I made this year for Christmas. And I like the way it looks. It actually looks cute. It looks kind of, honestly, depending on what blue greens you use, it looks more realistic. Okay. I can't believe, knock on wood, that I have not colored out of the lines yet with as fast as I'm going to try that. I'm trying to make sure this video doesn't run too long. So my cat keeps running away. I don't know if I told you guys this, but he ran away while I was in Florida. We found out that a neighbor had him and had been feeding him. So of course now that little booger knows that he can go somewhere else and get food, even though he gets fed here twice a day. Plus he kills mice and eats them. And he gets the mice that I catch inside the house because we're surrounded by woods on like 3 sides of our house. Anyway, then Monday I had to go to a wake when I got back. And I was getting ready to walk out the door and go pick up my daughters. And somebody sent me a text, my neighbor sent me a text message. The one that had gotten my cat, Fred, that's my cat's name. The one who had been feeding him while I was in Florida. And she said, your cat's posted on the Evans news page. So we posted who the cat belonged to, and she wanted us to pick him up. And It's like, well, I can pick him up, but I can't pick him up until after this wake that I have to go to. So I had to rush to go pick up the cat because the neighbor had warned me that the lady whose house Fred had run to had taken her dog to the SPCA before because he got out of his cage or his leash, off his leash. And I do not want that to happen to Fred because Fred is very old. And if the SPCA got a hold of him and we didn't know about it, they would probably put him to sleep. So now, Fred's a barn cat now because he's so old. He refuses to use a litter box and whatnot, and it just got impossible to clean up after him. So he's a barn cat now. He lives in the garage. He's got a nice bed in there and heat, and now he's mad because I put 2 leashes in there, hooked them together so he could get around inside the garage and outside the garage. I just went with the same color, you guys, because I'm talking to you and not paying attention. Anyway, and he is not a happy camper. He is super mad at me, and he's already broken out of the collar twice. He wraps it around a pole until it can't wrap no more, and then he snaps the collar apart. So I don't know what to do. I don't know how to keep him from running away. We live on a very busy state road, county road, and I do not want him getting hit by a car now that he knows there's other people out there. There's people that'll give him food and attention, as if attention from my 8 kids and us is not enough, you know cats. Anyway, if anybody's got any suggestions, please let me know, because I just don't know what to do anymore. I don't know where I can find a stronger collar that doesn't have one of them stupid plastic snaps, something that he can't snap off. I just don't know. And I don't know, I don't think I have any more stories to tell you guys. I think that's all that's happened since I got back from Florida. I do have the Simon Says Stamp Snow Much card kit coming, and according to the tracking, it should be coming tomorrow. And I think after this weekend, I'll move along to the Hero Arts card kit for you guys, and then to the Simon Says Stamp card kit. Also, I wanted to ask you guys, now, I've already got plans and whatnot for Christmas craft show and other craft shows for this year, so I will still be making Christmas cards. If you guys are still interested in seeing some, let me know. If you want to see different stuff, let me know. If you have something specific you'd like me to try, please leave it in the comments below and let me know. Because sometimes, sometimes you just run out of ideas. I mean, we've all been through a period of time where we've run out of ideas. It actually happened to me when I came back from Florida. I was just drawing a blank. That's why there wasn't a video earlier this week. I had to sit here and look at my stamps for a little while and think about what I wanted to do. And then there was a period of time where I had way too many ideas floating through my head all at once. All right, so we're done with the coloring of the trees. Woohoo! So now let's talk about what we're going to do with this background and what sentiment we're going to use while I fussy cut this out. So the sentiments on here are, you're a friend like no one else, I hope Santa spoils you rotten, and happiest of holidays. And they're all really cute. But like I said, I wish I had something about a Christmas tree. Or we could go with a sentiment that didn't come from the stamp set. There's nothing that says it has to be from the stamp set. We could go with that Merry Christmas strip sentiment again. We could pick one from one of the other stamp sets. I'll think about it. I'll think about it while I'm cutting this out, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do. I wish I was doing this live so you guys could give me your input. Maybe we'll do that after Christmas. Have a live video. The only problem with that is it would either have to be late at night or while they were in school, while Jax was in for a nap, because otherwise there would be constant screaming and whatnot, and you guys waiting around for me to go do something for Jax and come back, and I really don't want to do that to you guys. But also, on the other hand, the prospect of waiting until Jax goes to school in 2 years to be able to do a live video, that really sucks. I really don't want to wait 2 years, so I'll have to think on that also and see what I can come up with as a solution. And this was fairly simple to cut out. And I'm going to outline it with a black Memento marker real quick to finish off the edges. I'm trying so hard not to cut off my... I don't like leaving a white edge most of the time, but I've also got that embossed edge. I'm trying so hard not to accidentally cut it off. Alright, so there's that. This thing is so shot from coloring fussy cut edges. I mean, look at the tip on that thing, guys. There we go. Alright. So I'm going to say one more Christmas video for you guys at least. Maybe 2, but it might be 1 because I still have 8 kids worth of presents to wrap. Plus my fiance's presents. Plus presents for my little nephew. Plus I still have two or three handmade gifts to finish making. I mean, my plate is full. I almost had a heart attack this morning when I realized that Christmas wasn't like a week and a half away. It's Tuesday. Like, gave me heart palpitations. All right, so we are going to add some interest to this card. I think we're going to go with, I don't know if I want to go with the holly or the ornaments. You know what? I think we're going to go with the jingle bell. Because that holly might take quite some time to color, where with the jingle bell I can do it in gold or silver and leave it if I don't have time to color it. So we're going to do it in gold. And I think we're going to do the sentiment in gold too. So we're going to put some... First I'm going to dry this real quick. Make sure the Copic marker's dry. And I'm going to put a little bit of powder on it. I'm dropping stuff over here, guys. Alright. We're going to go with the Simon Says stamp embossing pad since we're using the gold. I like to do a little bit of time so I can see where I put it. Alright, let's heat emboss those, because with my luck, I'll put my finger in it or something. I'm doing it off camera so I don't accidentally blow that embossing powder around. Okay. do a few more. So there's some more. And I think I'm done with that because it's really too big to put anywhere else. If I put that there, it's going to look forced. But I think I'm going to put another smaller image in there, just in a couple spots, so that the couple that are really looking like a wide open space don't look so wide open anymore. And that's where that little sparkly stamp comes in handy. I mean, it really does. I think we're going to do it in silver. Let's see here. Where's my silver? It really does come in handy to have something like this. So I'm going to put a sparkle there. Put a sparkle there. Sparkle there. Let's do those. One there. One there. I'm just going to do a little bit on the end there, a little bit on the end there, and one there. All right, let's heat that up. All right. And actually, I don't know if I want that sentiment in gold or silver. Let's pop. I think he needs to go on a small oval or something, just so that he stands out a little bit better. So let's put this little guy away. I'm just going to pull out my infinity oval dies. I'm not sure which one I want to use. I don't want it to be too big and take away from the card. I think that works. And honestly, I don't think it's going to be paper. I think I'm going to use vellum. So let's cut that out. Bear with me here. And my desk is so small, I actually have my die cutting machine underneath my desk on a little table. And then I just have to bend over and use it. Okay. That way you can still see what's behind it. So we're going to use a little bit of this two-way glue pen. You know, you guys know it's one of my favorite quick, easy ways to use glue. And I use it whenever I can, although I have been making myself use like the Nouveau Deluxe glue more, because that really works good too, and it sets quick, so I don't mind waiting a couple minutes. Okay, so we've got that guy on, and I purposely did it so that the star was sticking up on top of the oval, or above the oval. We're just going to set that for a minute, and I think we are going to stick to doing the sentiment in gold. And I think we should do Happiest of Holidays, the small one. And put that on a real thin strip of white. And I happen to have one right here. Actually, I don't like that one. Let's try... Okay, I'm going to cut this one down. Just trying to get it so that I'm doing it 3/8 of an inch wide. That should definitely be wide enough. It is. And now I just want to make sure that that sentiment is straight. I accidentally left the silver open, so let's close that up. So that's pretty cute. Alright, and now that tree should be done. It certainly is. Ah, I just dropped my card front. Okay. Now I'm just going to get the card base. I'm not sure if I want to go with this turquoise or like a sea green. Actually, I kind of like that. I think we're going to go with this color. And as you noticed, I left the bells uncolored. You could always color them in if you wanted, but I figured, thinking to myself while I was talking to you guys, that if I colored them in, they might distract from those trees, and I really don't want to distract from the trees. So we're gonna leave that. We're gonna pop this up, but we're only gonna use foam tape behind the tree so we don't see it through the vellum. I'm just gonna use the rest of these round dots I have. Probably should have went with something bigger so I didn't have to use as many, but that's okay. I always end up using too much. I'm always like, better safe than sorry. And I always end up using too much. Let's peel the paper backing off of those. Now you could put it anywhere you want. I'm gonna put mine in the center, I think. Don't you hate it when you're peeling off the backing and you can't tell if you peeled one of them already or not, and you have to touch it and then your finger sticks to it? All right. I really like that. Okay, and we'll see how long this is. I think I'm gonna fishtail the ends of that. Now you don't have to guesstimate if you don't want to. You could mark the center on the back of it, draw a line up, and then fishtail it. Sometimes I do that because sometimes no matter how hard I try, I just can't get it to look even. But I think it'll look okay. This one's smaller, so it won't be as noticeable. And you know what they say about handmade. If it's handmade, it's not perfect. It's not supposed to be. So if anybody returns a card because something on it isn't perfect, then they don't deserve a card to begin with. All right, now I just need a little bit of foam tape to put on that. And these Durees strips will come in handy. I'm gonna use 2 of them. One right next to the other, because I only have a couple left anyway. I usually reserve them for like when I'm making shaker cards, but I could always just as easily cut my foam tape into smaller strips. And I'm not putting any in the fishtail area just because those fishtails are so small, it doesn't really need it. Excuse my hands, I've got ink all over them and water color all over them and zig marker all over them. I mean, I've been crafting for days now. Just want to make sure I stick this on there even. And there we go. No further embellishments needed. So you have 5 different cards from the same stamp set that didn't require too much work. And that's it, guys. Hopefully you guys get your Christmas stuff done soon. If you have not subscribed and you like what you see, please subscribe and hit that notification button so you can learn about upcoming giveaways. I know I said that I would do one before Christmas, but it's going to have to be right after just because of the way things are falling. So there will be another one this month, but it'll be after Christmas. and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.